Okay, good evening, everyone. Will you please join me for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. We're going to begin with policy number 1230, public comment session for items on the agenda. Thank you for coming this evening. I would like to read portions of board policy number 1230, public comment at board meetings. The Board of Education encourages public comment on school-related matters at board meetings as outlined in this policy. To allow for public comment, a period not to exceed 30 minutes shall be set aside during the first part of each board meeting for public comment, with priority given to comments on items on the meeting's agenda. A second 30-minute time period will be set aside at the end of each board meeting for public comment on matters pertaining to the district, but not on the agenda. These periods may be extended by a majority vote of the board. Persons wishing to address the board shall advise the board president prior to the scheduled start time of the meeting. The request shall be made in writing on a form provided by the district and shall include the name of the speaker, the address, telephone number, name of the organization represented, if any, and a brief description of the topic to be addressed. Presentation should be as brief as possible. No speaker will be permitted to speak for longer than 5 minutes. The board will not permit in-public session discussion involving individual district personnel or students. All speakers are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Persons making presentations at a board meeting will address remarks to the president and may direct questions or comments to the board members or other district officials only upon the approval of the president. If you would like to address the board tonight, the forms are on the table by the door. Please complete them and give them to the district clerk, Ms. Pena. And also as a reminder, we don't need to wear masks anymore, so we're going to cross that off. So that conducts that. All right. We have no items of correspondence. Public comment session for items that are on tonight's agenda. I do not believe anybody signed in for items on the agenda. All right, so we have presentations and guests. We have our athletic director, Jason Kloss.
To recognize two exceptional athletes from the winter season, and then speak about our winter season and where we're moving forward with the spring season, which started this past Monday. So first two student athletes that I'd like to recognize, both participated in the NISFA State Championship and represented us well. The first person I'd like to recognize is Austin Hartman. Come on up, Austin. So I'm going to bring Coach Carey up. Austin, stay up here, bud. To talk and bring some life to the season that Austin had. But this doesn't happen in a vacuum. Coach Carey coached both for Tri-Valley and Fallsburg this year. She's also does a tremendous job at the section level, putting on most of the events that our student athletes take part in. So she's always doing double duty and a great ambassador for the sport. So terrific job by Coach Carey, Austin. And one thing I'd like to note prior to turn it over to Coach Carey is that Austin was also a dual sport athlete this year. So he was participating in boys basketball as well as skiing. So finding that balance and still being able to ski at the level that he was able to ski is really a testament to him, his work ethic, incredible athletic ability, and Coach Carey. So without further ado, Coach Carey.
Is it on here? Oh, okay, I'll do it from memory. Okay. I know you all have probably had a chance to watch a little bit of the Olympics, and you know the stress that gets put on the top players, especially on ones like Michaela Schifrin, that we expect that they're always going to be on top, and what a double disappointment it is when they're not. She did rebound yesterday and win the downhill, so we're really happy for her. But as far as Austin goes, Austin has been a top skier in our section now since he started skiing in our section in 8th grade. And he's had the opportunity to go to states whenever it was offered. It wasn't offered during COVID, but it was offered again this year. And he has not only made a mark for himself on our division races, which are all held over at Holiday Mountain, he has the awesome responsibility of competing against the same people in our division each and every time we're out. It's not like basketball where it's a dual competition, and against each opponent you get to shine. You have the same difficult opponents at each and every meet. Fortunately for us, Austin is one of the difficult opponents. He's the one that everybody's out to take off that spot. So he goes out with a lot of pressure at each and every race that he goes for. There's a very fine line, as you've seen in skiing, between going 100% and hopefully coming in first, and going with a little bit of safety and actually finishing the run and not having no score at all at the end of a race, which is a possibility in skiing. Not too many sports do you go out and you either come in on top or you don't come in at all. But that's kind of the balance you have to have in skiing. And to have that balance, you have to sometimes have a personality that goes along with it. You have to be humble. You have to be willing to be first on one day and worst on another day, and accept it and go with it and come right back with a fighting spirit and go again. Our local coaches and our section coaches have watched Austin with this balance over the last few years. And not only has he been able to keep a top ranking in our section, this year he came in 3rd in slalom, 3rd in GS, and 3rd overall, and managed to land all 4 runs at states, which we were really excited about. One of our goals, to be able to do that. But he did it in a way that was uncharacteristic of a lot of other athletes. It is very frustrating when things don't go your way, and it's easy to show that frustration. And if you come to one of our meets, you don't see Austin show that frustration. He is a big enough person to swallow it, get up, go right back up to the top, and go with it again. What he's feeling may not be what he exhibits, but what he exhibits is true sportsmanship. And he's not only polite, he's not only helpful. There's so much grunt work in skiing. We have to set a course every day. Somebody has to lug all the gates up, put all the gates in, lug all the gates down at the end of practice. There's a lot of physical work in addition to, then we have to ski the whole hill flat again so that when the regular skiers come, they don't realize how bad it was. And some people have to be asked to do this. Some people have to be told to do this. Austin's just there to do this. And the amount of acclaim that he's acquired over the last 4 years being on the team was shown this year at States when the coaches voted him our sportsmanship athlete of the year. So we were very, very happy at our NISFA state championships that he could not only represent himself well, which he does on every occasion, but his family, his coach, his school, his community, and our section. So we couldn't have been more proud to have Austin as our athlete. Normally, it's an award that goes to our seniors, but this was an exception in that as a junior he has. So next year, maybe we'll be back here again. We'll see. But you can only be proud of Austin out there, not only for his effort and his success, but the way he handles himself and the way he represents all of us. So thank you for giving us both the opportunity for fostering skiing as a sport, and we hope to be back again.
Congratulations, Austin. Congratulations, Austin.
So the second athlete that I'd like to recognize tonight is from our boys indoor track team, who had another fantastic season, just like Austin's. Represents our school well, both on the field and just like Austin, is an example of the best that Tri-Valley has to offer athletically, academically, leadership-wise, sportsmanship. Just an exceptional human being. Adam Furman. I would also like to bring up both coaches, Coach Furman, Coach Eckhoff.
Well, thank you for Mr. Kloss for having us and recognizing the kids and the athletes and their accomplishments, and thank you for the board for hearing us out and hearing of their accomplishments. I know both of these guys are probably thinking, I don't really want to be the center of attention. I'd rather just kind of be doing my own thing. I know at least my own kid and Austin, I kind of get that feel from too. They just want to do their thing. However, they're here and they are the best. They set themselves as a standard for other kids to admire. I don't want to say heroic, but it's in the light of an area where kids are going to try to shoot to do what these guys have done. And I think that's important, especially for the younger athletes coming up to see these guys as examples, to see what they can do, to see that they're going beyond the division, beyond the section, into the states, and sometimes in the national meets. It really is impressive, and they do deserve all that they're getting here. Indoor track is a very, very tough season. Coach Eckhoff and I tell the kids right from the get-go. I mean, we had the COVID thing going on where kids were quarantined all the time. We had the masks. We were indoors. The weather's horrible out for running out in the parking lots, and the track is covered with snow. So it was a very difficult season to get through. And my goal starting out here in indoor was, let's just get through this. Let's just, let's do some real basic foundation work and get to outdoor. That's where we'll do our thing. However, Adam did not listen to me. He decided that he was going to train hard throughout the indoor season, as did all the kids on the team. And they rose to the occasion when things were on the line. We didn't get as many competitions as we would like. We did get the use of the Sullivan County Community College a lot. However, if you look at the Sullivan County indoor track compared to a New York City Armory track or a New York City Ocean Breeze track, if you've ever been in those locations, it's like walking into a palace. It's just that they're world-renowned locations to run track and field indoors. So we only got a couple meets in on those, but he got the job done when we did go to those meets. For Adam, we did sit out the division championship with a little bit of sinus illness, but then we made it back to state quals where we PR'd in the 3200. We made it to the state meet. At the state meet, we were looking, hey, just get your nose in there. The most competitive state meet for boys 3200 in New York State history. I think it was 3, maybe 4. 4 guys in that race that Adam was in going into the New York State meet broke the meet record, the New York State meet record, and were 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the country at the time. So being in that race, you either were getting lapped or you were going to get in there and do a little fighting and break a good record time here. And that's what we ended up doing. So we did break a school record during that race. One of the first people to call me after the race was Joe Iatoro, former coach here, because Joe Iatoro's son held the record. And he was very happy and congratulatory and loved every minute that Adam did break that record. So he he still thinks about us. He's still viewing us from afar. So that time that Adam ran in that location actually qualified him for a national championship at the New Balance National Championships in Manhattan, I think a little over a week ago. And we went down to that meet, and that is it's a little longer race. It's a 2-mile race instead of a 3,200, so it's a little bit longer. And there is another school record for the 2-mile, which in that race, Adam did break that school record as well. So he's a 2-time now indoor record holder for Tri-Valley. That kind of ends the indoor season for us. We're not going any further than nationals. There's no world meets to go to, otherwise we'd probably be there. But we appreciate it again. Congratulations, Adam. And we're looking forward to, doing this a few more times. Hate to be greedy, but we got some talent coming up.
His mom wants a picture. You got to take a picture.
Mom could have been here. Could have been here.
Congrats.
Congrats, Adam.
So as both coaches spoke to, Austin, Adam are juniors. They have a lot of sports left. And we're looking forward to what they're going to do in the spring, but then again in their senior year. So once again, congratulations, guys. Exceptional example of what we want for all of our athletes, and you set the tone. So keep up the good work. Okay, we're going to talk about some other accomplishments that our sports during the winter have accomplished. First, we'd like to recognize our division champions. As a team, our girls indoor track were division champs. We had several individual division champions. We had Amelia Mickelson, who was division champ in both the 3,000 meter and the 4x400 relay. We had Kendall McGregor, who was a division champ in the 55 meter, the 300 meter, and the high jump, and was also 5th at the state qualifier in high jump. Joyce Brooks was division champion in the 4x400 meter relay. Tabitha Mulholland was division champ in the 1,500 meter race walk and the 4x400 relay. And Lily Siciliano was division champ in the 600 meter as well as the 4x400 meter relay. So well done on the girls' side for division champs. So on the boys' side, we were also division champs as a team, as a program. Van Furman was a division champion in the 3,200 meter. Jacob Lusak was division champ in 55 meter hurdles and triple jump. Craig Costa was division champ in 1,000 meter and 600 meter. Caleb Edwards, division champ in the 1,600 meter. Noah Edwards, division champ in the 300 meter. Tyler Conjura, division champ in the long jump. Connor Rafferty, division champ pole vault. Brandon Kaplan, division champ in shot put. Armand Butler, division champ in the weight throw. And we had Adam Furman, who was New York State qualifier, 6th place NISPA, 10th place Federation, New Balance National Championship qualifier, and school record holder for the indoor 3,200 meter and 2 mile. So congratulations on the boys' side as well. So We have academic endeavors. We have leadership endeavors. The next thing I want to talk about is our Scholar Athlete Team Awards. It's one thing that year in and year out that we do very well here at Tri-Valley is we put kids on the floor, court, field. But if you look at their GPAs and where they're at as a team, it's quite amazing. So academics, things like sportsmanship, that's all part of the interscholastic experience. So do we want programs to excel, be fantastic, be exceptional? Absolutely. But we also want to make sure that we always hold tight to the things like our academics that our student athletes excel in, and how our students behave and present themselves on our fields, courts. We had 5 teams that qualified for the Scholar Athlete Team Award this winter. They were our boys skiing team, our girls indoor track, our boys indoor track, our girls basketball, and our boys basketball team. So I'd like to congratulate all of those teams and recognize an exceptional effort, floor, and in the classroom. We have some other awards. By no means is this all-encompassing. There's many more awards that are going to come from the winter season. Sullivan County Democrat has a few more teams or sports that they're going to recognize, and we have things from the section, division, and other awards as well. So I'm going to talk about what we have right now. On boys basketball, we had 2 athletes recognized for Division All-Stars, and those athletes were Andrew Cox and Zach Katajcek. Sullivan County Democrat does All-Stars for every season. So we had some representatives from boys basketball also on the Sullivan County Democrat All-Star team. Those athletes were Andrew Cox, Brian Kelly, and Vanya Kodakovsky. The Democrat has also recognized our girls indoor track, our indoor track in general. We had 2 representatives on that all-star team, and those were Kendall McGregor and Amelia Mickelson. And the all-stars for girls basketball, wrestling, skiing, and boys indoor track will be out shortly. For our boys skiing team, obviously Austin did an exceptional job. Okay, got to states, sportsmanship award. But if we look at as a team, the boys skiing OCIA Division I top 10 finishers, right? It's kind of everybody's in one bunch. So we had with Austin, okay, he finished 2nd place overall in boys skiing in the OCIA, and then went on to finish 3rd place as sectionals. Brandon Schultz was 7th place at the OCIA and finished 14th place as sectionals. And Colin Pavisi was 10th place OCIA and 11th place as sectionals. So great job for our boys skiing team as well. The next time I'm here, I will give a roundup of other accomplishments that we're recognized for the remainder of the winter. Now I want to turn our sights towards the spring season. So for the JV and varsity, the spring season started this past Monday. And for modified, it's going to start this coming Monday. Registration for spring sports has been very good. We're slightly down from pre-pandemic, but we have 160 student athletes participating and registered for varsity, JV, and modified. We continue to offer the online registration for our athletic teams through Family ID. And I want to give a great big thank you to both Mrs. Gray and Mrs. Nicoletti for all the work they do with that program. It is a lot of work, and they do their best to make sure that our athletes are cleared and on the field. And many times it's off hours. You know, when they see a registration pop in and they know that tryouts start tomorrow, they do everything they can to make sure that our athletes don't miss that opportunity. Each team and program has been issued a new AED. I want to thank Mr. Whitaker, Mr. Silver, Board of Education for continuing that initiative. We are one of the few schools that do offer them for every team that we field. And the truth is, might it be used for an athlete? Possibly. But it's most likely going to be used for an adult that's there, whether it's a coach or a spectator. So it not only makes our the athletic team a safer place, but it makes our events a safer place. So thank you very much for new AEDs, and we appreciate that support. As an athletic department, we continue to focus our efforts on improving the athletic experience here at Tri-Valley for our students, our spectators, and our community. I'm very excited for the spring season. There's a lot of energy in our practices, in our student body in general, and I look forward to giving them the best experience possible this spring. We continue to work that our athletes are learning and positive lessons through the athletic experience, and that they have the opportunity to represent Tri-Valley with pride. To stay updated with athletic events, you can go to the athletics calendar on our website. Most of you in this room probably receive my daily emails, so read those. And we are on Twitter and Instagram at TVCS_athletics, as well on Facebook. So, upcoming events for the spring, it's going to be very busy. Okay, we had a lot planned in spring 2020 that we had that shelved just like everybody else. But this spring we have March 31st, we've got Spring Sports Pitcher Day. April 30th, we're going to do what is our second annual Tri-Valley Baseball Classic, but we're also bringing softball into the Classic. So we're going to have Liberty, Ellenville, and Eldred will be here on both softball and baseball. We're going to host 4 games at our campus and 4 games at the town park. And we've invited Little League to do fundraising at the concession stand. So it should be a win-win for both our school, with CAST being able to fundraise here, and for Little League to be able to fundraise there. On the 7th of May, we're hosting our Tri-Valley Invite. And on the following Monday, we're doing our Tri-Valley Modified Invite. We're one of the few schools, the only school in the immediate area that runs a modified invite, and one of the few schools in the section that runs a modified invite. We wanted to maintain that tradition here at Tri-Valley. So once again, thank you for giving me the time here tonight to talk about the winter and the spring, and to recognize our athletes for their well-deserved accomplishments.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes. It may be a little different in structure, but yes, both a modified JV and a varsity. So at all levels to recognize an end-of-year annual banquet.
It's exciting to hear the accomplishments of our athletes, especially coming out of COVID and having questionable seasons. Are they going to finish baseball or basketball? Are they going to finish track? Adam and Austin they're phenomenal athletes. They're great students. You represent our school wonderfully anywhere you go. So congratulations. You're only juniors, only more than best to come from both of you. So congratulations to you both. Yeah, come. Oh, all right. Thank you, Jason. Mr. Whitaker for our budget presentation.
This is one of the biggest broadcasting. What is? First of all, congratulations to both of the young gentlemen for their performances. They should be very proud of yourselves. Also, to Mr. Kloss, 5:30 in the morning, I see that my belt, my pings every day at 5:30, and I know Jason has sent out his email for the day, so it's part of my routine every day. Tonight's presentation is going to be relatively short, but not because there was no work that went into it. Am I missing out of large this? Or is this going to be the way it is? Yeah, I'll just do this. When we last left you on 3/3/22, we had presented a budget potential revenue, and at that time had a gap of over $740,000. Since that time, in the past couple of weeks, we've looked at a few different things. So tonight on 3/17, we're going to show you a budget that is $35,000 higher. This is a review of the capital and the administrative costs. Majority of those increases at a district-wide level, we are going to replace every copier in the district. I have an option of dropping over $100,000 or going through a 4-year lease. This number includes a 4-year lease currently. That might change as we move forward, but I think it's time that we replace all our copiers. We've done a few. The upstairs main copy room, those were all brand new 3.5 years ago. Lifespan, they're starting to show. When I see the service call from Toshiba coming in 3 times a week, you know you're in a place where you need to think about replacing. The revenue, so that gives us a grand total of a budget of a little over $36,139,000. On the revenue side, after last couple weeks ago, the presentation, looking at that tax cap, which I presented was 3.57%, raising taxes $700,000. We don't think that's a wise idea. But what I've incorporated into this revenue is a tax increase of $168,000, which is basically restoring us back to our 2021 level prior to this current year having a negative tax cap of that. So, with the small modifications, our gap is down to $607,000. So how do you make up a gap? It's a challenge and an opportunity simultaneously. Well, you either take in more money or spend less money. So on the additional revenue side, there's really not much conversation coming out of the state of New York and Albany about what they're planning on doing as budget-wise. I think they have a lot of other things on their plate. Wednesday, that was yesterday. I'm losing with the days off. I'm having trouble with the day. But yesterday at my business officials meeting, we had a conversation about this, and most people said, "Yeah, we're not sure where they're going." The one thing we have to realize at Tri-Valley is every school is treated a little bit differently based upon their needs, high needs. So the foundation aid restoration for the schools, local schools that are in higher needs are classified as higher needs than us. They've got a lot more money in their budgets. We maintained right where we were, but state aid will hopefully go up a little bit. We may not know until April 1st or after, but the state, I believe they will have a budget on time. That seems to be the general consensus. Or we can look at our fund balance. as another source of revenue. We usually maintain about dedicating $1.5 million of this year's fund balance to the following year's budget. We can take a look at that. On the reverse side of that is less cost. We could stop buying all the supplies and everything else we need, but truly to make up $600,000, salaries and benefits is the easiest way, not easiest, but the most beneficial way to look at it and get some bang for your buck. My personal philosophy, and I think it is on the entire administrative team here, is that would only be done through natural attrition. If someone retires, maybe we don't have to replace them. If someone decides to resign and take a position elsewhere. So we have to look at what our potential natural attrition is. We're currently in discussions with the administrative team to finalize these staffing levels that will provide for our student needs in an effective manner. And one other note I want to make, our recurring grants, title grants, IDEA grants, which happen every year, not the ESSERs and the ARPs, but those grants have been utilized already to offset expenses by over $650,000 in salaries. And those grants are relatively stable in the dollars and cents that come across. They may waver a little bit, but there's no tremendous change in those numbers. So as we stand here tonight, we still have to address this. Our goal is within the next week or two to really finalize these numbers. I think Dr. Silver is going to talk a little bit about having a budget workshop as a board meeting. I'm still targeting April 12th as the adoption day for the budget. We have a little more work to do to be confident that we can provide for our students and also make sure our taxpayers don't feel the hit and make sure we can pay for what we have. Does anybody have any questions?
I just have a question on the ESSER funds. So it was my understanding that some of that funding was going to be used for school trips or opportunities for students. So that money that's been budgeted for this year, does that carry over to next year's budget as a line item for?
So the way I handle the ESSERs and working with Deb Kelly a lot, as a matter of fact, Deb and I had a long meeting today. We now have a little more stability in what those numbers are. Last year, as we were entering the year, they were just throwing the numbers at us. Spent a lot of time today to try to creatively, to be quiet, I created a dump code. I spent money this year not knowing where it was actually coming out of. Now I'm finalizing that. And what the goal of that will be is if I'm able to spend some money we spent this year out of the ESSER or ARP funds, it creates a little more fund balance in our general fund. So we're looking at that methodology and what we can do in next year, 2022 and 23, and also for the larger ESSER 3, 23, 24, where can we take some of our field trips, those type of things. And we're also looking at a lot of improvements in the facility here that we have to offer that we normally wouldn't be able to just spend. So yeah, we're looking at that carefully. It's an ongoing conversation. I'd love to tell you I have a great handle on it, and we have a great handle as a district. It's a work in progress. We're constantly looking and taking a look. What can we do? What can we try? So it's actually it's a challenge and it is an opportunity. But the challenge part of it is it's constant monitoring, which is not always easy. But now, in the past 2 months, we've really started taking a look at it a little more carefully.
I think we're just going to have to revisit that 4/12 date. It's the same day as the National Honor Society induction, so we might have to move the board meeting later or earlier, but we'll work that out so we can still have that as a solid date.
Yep. Whatever we have to do.
So that's the last date that
Well,
we can approve?
because you really, I like to be able to have the information. The big thing here is to print the budget newsletters, drive up to someplace and not put them in the mail. We have spring break, coming on the 14th. By the time we get back, literally the 26th is when a lot of information has to be finalized in the state. And I've been very fortunate since I've been here. We've never had a crunch time to go through, but this is the year that there's a crunch time. So before spring break, it's pretty much mandatory that we adopt a budget.
This is for Mr. Curry. Make sure the mic works. Norm and I were looking at the requirements that the state has, the number of days between the budget vote, the budget hearing, and the adoption of the budget by the board. So we've looked at that. We don't have any suggestions for tonight because I didn't expect the April 12th date to be a problem. But we'll take a look at that and get some options out to you tomorrow or Monday at the latest.
There you go. All right, thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is the superintendent's report. Dr. Silver.
Well, the first thing I was going to say was we need a budget workshop, but we'll settle that via email and other things over the next couple of days. I want to apologize for any confusion about the academic calendar that we had over the last couple of weeks. We found errors in the current calendar, but they occurred we discovered them at different times and need to fix them. So I did an email blast to the staff and parents last March 10th, whenever that was, the end of last week. So just to review, Monday there was no school. This past Monday was a snow give-back day. We extended spring break an extra day. Thursday, April 14th will be the second snow give-back day, and then we're on school break through Sunday the 24th. Tuesday, May 17th, we're doing a half day because that's election day, and just make life a lot easier for everybody coming in and out to vote. On Friday, May 27th, which is the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, again, that's the last give-back day. And then Wednesday, June 15th, Regents Week starts. June 20th this year is the first year we're celebrating Juneteenth, which is on a Sunday, therefore it's on Monday. And the last week of school, there'll be half days for elementary school kids, June 21st through Thursday the 23rd. Thursday the 23rd is the last attendance day for all students, and Friday the 24th is the last day for teachers and staff. So we'll stick with that unless we have more snow at some point, or I have a heat day or some other reasons we have to switch things around, but I think we're finally set with that. A couple of just things that are coming up that board members may want to attend. On April 8th is the annual Boces meeting and budget meeting and discussion. And so that's, if you're interested in attending that, it'll be at 5 o'clock. There'll be the Boces demonstration stuff where the kids are in the big all-purpose room showing what they do in CTE. And then at 6 o'clock, the meeting will start, and I'm sure there's dinner prepared by the kids. On May 19th, the county legislature is recognizing all the valedictorians from the county. That's always a lovely event. It'll be at 11 o'clock at the Government Center.
That's May 19th?
May 19th. And on May 24th will be the 37th Academic Achievement Dinner, and that'll be at Boces. So again, if any of these things are if it interests you, let me or Norman know so we can get you registered. And that is it.
Can you confirm the Boces date I had is April 7th? Is that correct, Norma? It's Thursday, April 7th, right?
Okay, so here's the top of the email that says April 8th.
I see it, but yeah.
Read the body of the text,
yeah.
it says April 7th.
So I have it as 5 o'clock p.m. on April 7th, right?
You show up
Okay.
both times. Maybe.
Oh, I'm not going on the 8th.
Okay.
I'll go with the 7th. Any other questions? 7th at 5. I have at Boces building on Ferndale Lucas Road. And I'm sure the Botech kids will be cooking that day, which is always exciting that Kathy's kids are putting stuff together. So that's it, right? Any other questions from this side of the room? Thank you. All right, next, any items the board wishes pulled from tonight's consent agenda? Okay, I need a motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Keith. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is unanimous. Next, board committee reports. The policy committee, I believe, is pretty much caught up. Norma, is that correct?
We had the opioid policy left, but Erin's not here, so I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I think it's going to be on the next board for first read. Correct, Phil? That sounds right, right? No other committees have met, I do not believe. Old business, there are no items of old business. Public comment session for items that are on tonight's agenda. We have two people that have signed in to speak. Mr. Curry? No? But do you have something to speak about? This is the opportunity. All right, thank you. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Mr. Curry. Next, we have Mr. George Dean. Not on the agenda. Right. Now.
One thing here, he is all about. Okay, but have a better son. Thinks about these. I don't believe he gets enough credit for it because he wasn't for him. Have to why. Really, thank him. I'm proud of what's happened here. You don't. Okay.
People here can hear you fine. People at home, not at all.
Oh, okay. So, what I've got to say, you know, I'm happy with what's happening here at Tri-Valley with the athletics. I'm not so happy with what I'm going to tell you. And it has to do with our students at Tri-Valley and what's happening. And I'll tell you two incidences. And I would hope you're aware of it. There's this young lady in a first grade class, went into the girls' bathroom last year, was followed in by a boy in the elementary, first grade girl going into her bathroom, was followed in by a boy. She was in a stall. He says, I know you're in here. He says, where are you? So she is scared to death. She doesn't know if she can yell, scream, she gets in trouble. They're little kids, they don't know, they're new to the school. She's throwing from one stall to the other stall, trying to get out. So the boy says, show me your junk. Now, isn't that pretty pathetic? Where is the people that are supposed to be taking care of our little kids? Safety, 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 safety. Another incident was two boys, and they were in the middle school. had a private conversation somewhere in the school. It was a private conversation amongst two boys. Someone comes by, hears them talking, goes to the principal and says, I'm uncomfortable with what those two boys were talking about. Where is their privacy? Where is their privacy? Where is that young lady's privacy? What are we doing about it? I mean, these are young kids. These two boys were called out on it, and they were called to the principal, and the parents were called at home because they were having a private conversation. Now, where is that right? Where is that right? You know, we all know, and we've seen it, because I didn't write the statistics. These came from state education. And this was pre-pandemic. We know what pandemic did to education. This is pre-pandemic. We are the lowest in the Hudson Valley. Out of 1,200 schools in New York State, we are 900 something, which we all know. Everybody saw it. Everybody read it. I called the superintendent. At that time, there's a referendum going on for the $10 million bond. I asked him, why don't we hold off on the bond and address education here, academics? We really need to get a handle on it. He says, well, there's more things important right now because some of the stuff in the building needs to be addressed. Fair enough, that was his decision, and obviously it was the board's decision. So my thought here, and really why I'm here is, where is education at Tri-Valley? We should be educating our children in academics. And I'll leave you on this note. Not promoting sexuality. Thank you for the time to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Norma, has anybody else signed in to speak? Next. Announcements, reminders, and upcoming events. What an exciting 2 weeks, 3 weeks to come, Mr. Pulley. So you get to start us off. For us, it's exciting. I know it's going to be an exhausting couple of weeks.
I'll be honest with you. You know, it's great to get back to doing some normalcy. I was incredibly, incredibly proud of our students last evening in band and chorus and the concert that they put on. Sensational. What folks don't realize is it was over 2 years since they had been in front of the audience and how incredibly nervous they were. They did a phenomenal job, and couldn't be prouder. Tomorrow night, we have the middle grades, Color Wars, in the gymnasium. They've enjoyed a spirit week this week. Next week, more the main event. We have competition night coming up on Friday the 25th, and they'll have their spirit week next week as well. Next week, the 8th grade poetry slam is back, and that's Wednesday the 23rd, and the guest speaker or guest poet will be Bethany Hamilton. And just putting it out on the calendar, because it's amazing to think that we're beyond halfway in March. April 8th and 9th, which is a Friday and Saturday, we will be doing the high school musical, Freaky Friday. And, you know, for all the moms and daughters who, you know, want to trade spots, they need to come out and check it out. It is a Disney production. And then on Tuesday, April 12th, we have the National Honor Society induction. So it is good to be getting back to those things, but we need to be mindful that we have had a 2-year lapse, and probably more than ever to be supportive of our students. So with that, I'll pass it on to Jen.
Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. The elementary school will be pretty busy as well. We were going ahead and tidying up our end of year calendar, and there are additional items that keep popping up. We are going ahead and have multiple field trips that will be planned for the end of the school year, talking about getting back to normalcy. The students, again, have not really been on a field trip in quite a few years, and some students have not gone on a trip since they've entered elementary school. So we are certainly very aware of that. For any of our longer trips, I want to thank Mr. Whitaker and Deb Kelly. They're going to be able to get us bus transportation that allows for facilities to be on the bus, because of course the last thing we want is one of our first grade students to be on a bus on a trip and have to go potty. That's not always so easy to be able to have that happen. But we do have field trips that are going to be coming up. We have gone ahead and we have our Scholastic Book Fair that has been scheduled, continuing to work with the PTO in supporting them and their Someone Special dance that will be taking place out in the community. For those of you who have not had an opportunity to check out our Bear Cub basketball, whether the practices that are happening or the games on the weekends, the kids are having a really great time. And Jason, you have a lot of talented elementary school students coming your way, so it's certainly a promising athletic future for our secondary school students that are up and coming. We do have state testing that will be taking place at the end of March and then the first week in April. That is for students in grades 3 through 6. And finally, our Spirit Week concludes tomorrow with our Comfortable Clothing Day, which in elementary school language, that means Pajama Day. So the students are very excited about that. And if I may add one other thing, we have been listening as some of the student representatives from one of the high school classes spoke at a board meeting, as well as Mrs. Poley. We have been offering many more and have been seeing many more secondary school volunteers coming down to the elementary school. We have not gotten them on the playground yet because no one can go there. It's still patches of snow, and if not, it's just gross. But we have had many students coming down to join us. Specifically today, we had sixth period, an entire class come down and help support our pre-K students during their lunchtime. So we will certainly be getting some pictures of that to be able to put in our yearbook, as we certainly want to be able to welcome secondary school students back down into our building now that we're able to do so. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Danielle, nothing. She was like, no. So it's exciting times for our community, for our kids. Competition night, color wars tomorrow. Gonna be packed house. Exciting to see a lot of community members coming back into the building. Adult ed, when you come to the school in the evening, the building's just buzzing. It's wonderful. For board announcements, we do have some volunteers who have signed up for our superintendent search. Our community panels consist of community stakeholders, parents, students, administration, teachers, staff. The interviews for our candidates that are moving forward are taking place on Tuesday starting 4:30 p.m. Here in the high school, secondary school. We are anticipating having everyone meet up in the auditorium, and then we will break out into groups from there. We have some wonderful candidates that we will be bringing forth next week, which is exciting for our community and for our staff. So if you have not received that notification yet, it is Tuesday, the 22nd at 4:30 to those who have signed up with Ms. Pena. Any other announcements? That kind of thing? Okay. New business. We have Sullivan County Boces Board Member Resolution. We do. Mr. Stryker is interested in the board, in the board for BOCES. And it is the only letter of interest that we've received. Keith, are you still interested in participating and committing to that? All right, great. All right, so I'm going to read the motion or read the resolution. 3 vacancies on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services are to be filled at their annual election to be held on April 26, 2022. The terms of Mrs. Carol Park, representing the Roscoe Central School District, Mrs. Kathy Russo, representing the Tri-Valley Central School District, and Mr. Ken Hilton, representing the Sullivan West Central School District, will expire June 30th, 2022. Nominations can only be made by resolution of the component board having a vacancy or whose board member is up for election. Such resolution shall be transmitted in writing to Jean Hewlett, clerk, no later than March 28th, 2022. A ballot will be prepared for voting on April 22nd, 2022. The Tri-Valley Central School District would like to nominate Mr. Keith Stryker to the Sullivan County Boces Board for a 3-year term from July 1, 2022 to June 30, 2025. Whereas the Tri-Valley Central School District understands the importance of Boces programming and its students, be it resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District of Education will nominate Mr. Keith Stryker for a 3-year term ending on June 30th, 2025 for the Sullivan County Boces Board. I need a motion and a second. Motion Joe. Second Danielle. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is unanimous. Congratulations. And we're going to thank Miss Kathy Russo. She still has time left on her term, but it is a huge commitment. Next, establishment of 2022 Capital Reserve Fund. Be it resolved at a duly called meeting of the Board of Education of the Tri-Valley Central School District. A motion, well, we have to motion and second before the resolution. All right, motion Joe. Second, Pat. All right, let's start again. It was Joe and Pat, Norma. Be it resolved at a duly called meeting of the Board of Education of the Tri-Valley Central School District, a motion was made by Joe Cologne, seconded by Pat Kelly. The following resolution was adopted. Whereas the Tri-Valley Central School District has a need to plan for future building projects, and whereas from time to time the district has unappropriated funds available in its general fund sufficient to allow savings to fund a portion of future building projects and facility renovations, and whereas in May 2016, the voters of the district authorized the creation of a capital reserve fund designated as the 2016 Capital Reserve Fund in accordance with the Educational Law Section 365(1)(1) for a probable term of 10 years with the ultimate amount not to exceed $8 million plus accrued earnings, which was fully funded and is being drawn down to pay for the current building projects and facility improvements. And whereas the Board of Education desires to create a second capital reserve fund in accordance with the Educational Law, Section 365(51), subsection 1, to be known as the 2022 Capital Reserve Fund to fund future building projects and facility renovations. And now it therefore be resolved that the Board of Education approves the following proposition and directs that it be placed before the voters at the May 17, 2022 district meeting. Shall the Board of Education be authorized to establish a capital reserve fund designated as the 2022 Capital Reserve Fund in accordance with Educational Law Section 365(51), subsection 1, for the purpose of paying the cost of future building projects and facility renovations in a maximum amount not to exceed $20 million, plus accrued earnings to be raised by annual transfers of unappropriated fund balances, annual transfers of excess funds from the general fund in an amount up to $750,000 for a probable term of 10 years, effective July 1, 2022, and expiring June 30th, 2032, provided that pursuant to the Educational Law 365(51), subsection 3, no expenditure shall be made from such fund except upon authorization of the voters of the district for the purposes specified herein. Be it therefore resolved that the district clerk is directed to provide notice in this proposition to the voters as required by the educational law dated March 17th, 2022. I need a motion and a second, correct? We did the motion and a second, we just need to vote on it, correct? All right, any discussion? Okay, please proceed to vote. You have to do it by hand, Norma, or can we do it electronically? We can do it electronically. All right, that is unanimous. Do I need to read this whole resolution? No? Okay. All right, legal notice for the school vote. Need a motion and a second. Motion Joe, second Rose. All those in favor, please, or any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That is unanimous. At this time, there is no need to enter into an executive session, so I need a motion and a second to adjourn. Motion Joe, second Danielle. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. It is 8:17 p.m. Have a lovely evening. Safe travels home.